Hello everyone, Ryan here with Product Impressions. I've been wearing minimalist shoes for quite a long time, and it occurred to me that the sandals that I have are actually the thickest soles of any shoes that I have, and they're also heaviest, and that just didn't make sense to me. So I started making my own sandals just out of leather, and so I thought I would kind of walk through what you need and how to make your own custom sandals if you want to. So the main things that I use are, we've got a couple pieces of leather. First up, we've got a tooling leather. This is about 2 millimeters thick or so, so it's still pretty thin. And then if you want to, you can just make sandals with that and have it be very lightweight. Personally, I like to add a little bit of comfort and style to it with adding a piece of suede for the footbed. And after making them like that a couple of times, I decided to enhance the durability of the sole with just a very thin piece of Vibram outsole here. So I'm going to put links to everything that I'm using as far as putting this together in the description box, but otherwise, the main thing to hold it on the feet, you need some laces. These are elastic laces, which I find much better than trying to tie and untie every time you put on or take off sandals. And everything just gets held together with some of this E6000 glue. So let's go ahead and walk through putting together a custom pair of sandals. All right, step one of this whole procedure is just going to be gluing the suede foot top thing, whatever, foot pad, onto the other piece of leather. So I'm just going to take some glue and spread it around on here. Sometimes it's a little hard to get it to start coming out, and then it'll just keep coming out. But we want to try and get a good amount so that it'll spread out evenly and get a good seal on the entire piece of leather. I'm going to try and get it stuck into a corner just to save some of the leather if I can, like so. And we're just going to kind of move it around a little bit just to make sure that the glue gets distributed underneath. Get a nice, maybe not even, but enough of a layer on there so that it's going to stick down all the way around. All right. That is pretty much it for day one. We're just going to put a weight on this to try and hold it down flat, and then we'll keep going. All right, after you have allowed the leather to dry, the glue in there, the next thing that you need to do is trace an outline of your foot. You can just do this on any sheet of paper, assuming your foot actually fits on a sheet of paper. If it doesn't, then you're going to need to start with a bigger piece of suede than I have here. So you trace an outline of your foot, and you can use the same outline for both feet unless you have some issue, like one foot much larger than the other. But you just trace the outline of your foot, and a couple of things that you want to make sure that you do is mark the base of the space between your large toe and the next one over. So that is where that is. That's where the strap is going to come up between your two toes. And also mark where your ankle bones are on either side down here, because we're going to want to leave a little extra room there to put the lace through. So we can go ahead and cut this out, and it's good to cut out a little bit more than the outline, maybe like a couple of millimeters more. If you end up with something that's a little bit too big at the end, you can always trim it down, but you can't add material back to it. So that's why we need to just leave a little bit more room on there. And once you have it cut out, all you need to do is trace the pattern on here, flip it over, and trace again. And once again, when you're tracing onto the leather, you're probably going to need to use a pen to do that. Otherwise, it just might be difficult to mark the leather. And you're also going to want to actually press the tip of the pen through the paper to mark that center point there as well. And a little bit of a mark for the ankle bones once again. All right, now we just use a box cutter or safety blade or whatever to cut the thing out. One thing that I forgot to mention earlier is that after you've cut out these foot pads, basically, if you are interested in wearing shoes without socks or anything like that, this is actually a great way to make yourself a suede insole. And so that way it will be nice and soft. And if you need to, you can take these out, dry them, and put them back in to use them again. All right, so I have traced this out. I've cut out the soles of these, and now we need to put in the holes for where the lace is going to go through. I've done leatherworking before, so I have a little tool for this, a little awl that just makes a hole through the leather, but you can also just use like a power drill or something like that if you don't have anything like this. So all we have to do is just punch little holes. And there we have it. You just want to make sure that you leave a 2 or 3 millimeters of material on either side of these holes, you know, towards the outside, so that it's not just going to rip through at some point while you're wearing them. All right, now we just need to put in some laces. All right, if you want to, this could basically just be the last step, is running the lace down through the top and just tying a knot in it back here. I've made these in the past like that before, and they hold up for at least like a year and a half or so before you end up actually walking through this. But I want to see if I can make these a little bit more durable, and I'm going to do that by cutting a little incision in here and gluing the lace down so that it is held down all the way across there before it comes out. Now we just put some weight on these things and let them dry for a day or so again. Once the leather is dried to the sole material on the bottom, you can just cut it out. And I had to go back and make sure that I had punched the holes in there through the sole part. But basically, now all that there is left is just lacing it up. So there's a couple of different options here. I'm going to show the way that I like doing it. So basically, your foot would be in here like this, and the first strap needs to come over the top to the outside of the foot. And I just want to bring it up through the bottom here. And the way that I like to do this is to actually double it back underneath the part that you just made, because that way when it gets pulled taut, having it cross over here is going to bring up the point where it comes out over your heel. It brings it up a little bit higher and helps it hold onto your heel a little bit better. So I'm going to come around and do the same thing this way. All right, so there you got the loop for your heel. I come underneath here, so just like on the other side, it causes the point to be the point where these lines cross. It brings it up a little bit higher to make sure that it stays on the heel well. And from this point, there's the options of if you want to tie it and untie it every time you put it on. If your foot is in like this, you just would basically leave it as it is. It's laced up. You put your foot in there and you just loop it around and tie it around your ankle. And that way it, you know, as you move, it will stay on your foot. I've done that before, but the main reason why I like using the elastic laces, you know, you got that stretch in there. What I like to do is just loop it over there, and then you can basically double back around. So I just kind of come under, loop it around underneath here, and I'm going to have to tighten all of this up, but basically double back around and just tie it onto the front end up here once you get up there. So that's really all that there is to lacing this up. You can experiment with different things, but these are the two that I've tried, and I prefer doing it this way. All right, once you've got it all laced up, this is basically what it looks like. You've got it coming through the sole up here initially, out through the hole next to the ankle, around the heel, through the other hole, up, looped around up here near where your toes would be, and then back around until wherever it ends up being. Personally, on this pair, it seems that I'm tying it off right down here next to the ankle again, but that really just depends on the size of the sandals that you're making, you know, the size of your feet, the length of the lace that you use, a whole bunch of different things can play into that. So ultimately you will end up needing to adjust the lacing on these after you've worn them for a little bit, because this is a natural material. It's gonna flex, it's going to change shape. It will basically conform to your foot, and you don't need to worry about walking through the points coming through next to your ankles, because those will actually curl up a little bit, and the part of the lace right there is never really going to rub on the pavement or anything like that. So yeah, I've been making these for a couple of years. I really like it, and I end up making them consistently. I've really kind of enjoyed wearing them. So hopefully this has been of some interest to you. If you like videos like this, like, share, subscribe. Let me know in the comments, and I'll see what else I can come up with. Yeah. See you next time.